Okay, it says we're live. Hello out there, dear internet. We are back. And hi, Ravina.
Hello. Cheers.
Yes, Ravina has changed location.
I have.
Mysterious underground bunker.
Shh, it's a secret.
And we're here to discuss the not award-winning Teen Beach movie. You can see it. Yes, I own it on DVD. I also own it on iTunes because I wanted to see the extras on both of those platforms because they were different. I'm not entirely sure that was a good idea, but it happened, and now we're here. Now we're here. Yeah. It's one of my secret favorite movies, but I will also just tell you that it's one of my favorite movies, and I forget that it's one of my favorite movies until I start watching it, and then they get to a certain scene, and then I'm like, it's so pretty. So... and I wanted Ravina to see it because I was very curious what her reaction would be. What do you think, Ravina?
Not bad. Not bad. Definitely I am Mac and you are Brady.
Yeah, this is, I actually didn't even realize this because I saw Brady as being so silly and come on, you got to get out of that movie. And it's I mean, come on, dude. And then when I was watching it and you texted me hi, Mac, and I was like, oh my God, I'm Brady. Yeah, but quick rundown. What is this show about? Don't worry, dear friends. I'm not going to make us do a blow by blow like I did with the other ones. We're going to try something different, sort of, kind of, maybe. Again. Feel free to watch the vlogs I've been making about how I'm trying to improve the show. You know, I like how I can't say that with a straight face.
We're working on it.
We're working on it, right? So Teen Beach Movie is about two teenagers. This is Mac, Mackenzie, and this is Brady. And they are surfing and happy on the beach. And then it turns out that Mackenzie has to move. You may have noticed I already made two videos about this, already talking about this movie. Mackenzie has to move to go to a really preppy, expensive, fancy school so she could be super successful like her aunt. And she hasn't told Brady, presumably her boyfriend, BFF person, for an undetermined amount of time, that she's leaving, and he's sad and she's sad, and then she's like, no, I want to go surf the big wave before I leave, and they go, but then they think she's in danger because there's a storm. I'm sure this is all making sense to everybody very well. And then so main point is there's a storm and they end up on a beach of Brady's favorite movie, which is Teen Beach Movie, which is a combination of the 50s beach movies that had bikers and surfers who were in fighting all the time. I've never actually seen one of those. And West Side Story and Grease. It's a combination of those things.
Isn't it called Wet Side Story?
Yeah, it's called Wet Side. It's literally called Wet Side Story.
Yeah.
Which, let's get out of the way that I am aware that you can make dirty jokes about that, but let's not, just for the sake of the children that are totally not watching it. So, so they end up on the beach and they have to get home because Mackenzie has to go and leave Brady when they get back. And Brady's just like, this is amazing. This movie is my life. And Mackenzie's like, why is this happening to me? Why is everybody singing? I don't understand. And what happens is they accidentally make it so that they interrupt the meet cute between the main characters of Wet Side Story. And the movie gets derailed and they have to get the characters to fall in love with each other instead of Mackenzie and Brady so that they can set the movie back into motion and be able to get home again.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. See, this is why I don't like doing summaries, because I know as I'm saying it that it doesn't make any sense. And I know people are just like, what? But then I try to do the blow by blow of, scene by scene, which is also a terrible idea. But anyway, there you go. That's my interpretation of the movie. If you want to see me go more into it, please watch the other videos. I promise they're short-ish, kind of. So, yeah, I'm Mackenzie. I'm Brady, who is kind of in La La Land and is it's so cool being here, being one of these people in the movie who also joins in the biker musical number, which is my favorite thing ever. The dancing in that number is I love that so much.
Really great. Let's see. Well, I have thoughts.
Please tell me your thoughts, and then I have questions for you.
Okay. So the opening scene when Brady and Mackenzie are surfing, and they're having a great time. And I was like, oh, those are definitely stunt doubles that are surfing for them, but it looks great. Like, they're doing great. And then they have like this super romantic, like, oh, we're watching the sunset together. And I was like, oh, that's really sweet. Like, they have a really nice relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start talking, and I was like, oh, God. They're just babies.
They were so babies. And the weird thing is that the guy, Ross, okay, I can't believe I forgot his name. I don't remember actors' names sometimes. I'm so sorry. I'm more of like a face. Like, I see your face, I recognize you. Your name, who knows? But he is on a TV show. He was on a TV show called Austin and Ally, where he played a kid who wanted to be a rock star and eventually, gets there. So he was already really popular when this happened. But it's so funny because you watch the videos like a few months after this one was released, and he is so buff. So like he hit some like puberty thing as soon as like this movie ended, and then just got like huge.
I was gonna say, he looks like he has the potential, but he's like still getting over his like, it's not baby fat, it's like baby skinniness.
Yeah.
Where you're like gangly and you have like your face hasn't decided what it's gonna do yet, and
he literally said that he's pretty. I don't know where I saw this interview, but like they kind of like ambushed him at a gym. It was very strange, but he literally said that he thinks that they put him in that yellow like surfer shirt thing. I don't know what they're called. Because he's so skinny, and they didn't want him to be shirtless because it would look weird.
I feel like he was never totally shirtless, but there was a scene where his shirt was like unbuttoned briefly and flapping in the wind, and I was like, oh, you're so tiny.
Yeah, that's exactly what I had the same thought too. Me and Rowena were actually watching this at the same time-ish yesterday night, and so I would see something and think, I wonder if Rowena noticed that, and then like a few minutes later I would get a text like, there's a guy juggling ukuleles, and I was like, I was just looking at that.
Like all the weird shit that's happening in the background is what I enjoyed the most. Like random dude juggling ukuleles, like when they're trying to blow up the nefarious weather machine and there's just a girl like hitting it with her pink high heel, like, ugh, another day.
Yeah, but even better is that there's a sound effect that goes along with that. So like they focused on that and then made sure that there was a sound effect that was like a boink noise. And I'm not kidding, like it really made like a boink noise. So okay, so like you're realizing that they're total babies.
Yes.
What was your thoughts when like the aunt comes in and is okay? No, wait. Actually, before that, what were your thoughts when they showed the first clip of Wet Side Story?
Super cheesy, but everyone loves a good. You have to have a conflict.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like there's conflict in the movie, which mirrors the conflict in Mac's real life. You know, in the movie, it's like the bikers and the surfers are at odds, and then one of each falls in love, and they're like, oh no, like West Side Story.
Yeah.
And then in Mac's world, her aunt wants her to go off to this super fancy prep school, and she thinks it's the right thing to do, but it's difficult for her because she really cares for Brady, and she really loves to surf. And she probably wants to stay on the island or wherever they are, but they're not clear where they actually are.
Yeah, I know that they filmed in Puerto Rico, but it also is very clear. I just assume that like the setting is in California and they're going to the East Coast to go to a prep school, because when I think of the word prep school, I think of the East Coast.
Right. I assumed they were in Hawaii because it doesn't seem like that sort of surf shack exists in California.
Yeah, but
in Southern California.
No, it doesn't. But well, maybe in some places like in Southern California. I don't know because I don't go to the beach. But I think that I was thinking of like Hollywood, California, not the place, but like the image of it, where
right.
people who don't live in California are like, oh, this must be what a beach is like in California.
Yep. Yeah.
Not that the like commercials for traveling to California help at all with like people like running along the beach. And I'm like, you do know that it's freezing, right? Like you realize that. You're aware of that. And also, if it's not freezing, it's just disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Freezing or disgusting. There's like no in between.
No. Nope.
I'm sorry to ruin all your hopes and dreams, anybody who's watching this who dream of the perfect California. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'm sure there are places that are wonderful and great, but yeah, we grew up in an area that was more cold than anything when it came to the beaches.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to the beach? Let me go get all of my jackets and scarves.
And a hat. Probably a hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I liked that each world had a conflict. And of course, like you can basically see the plot line from a mile away. But Mackenzie is like, oh, this storm is coming and it's gonna make these beautiful waves, and I've been waiting my whole life to surf them. And so I'm going to go like surf this last wave and be back in time for my flight to fly to my fancy prep school. Which no.
Yeah, there's no way that would ever happen ever.
No. And so she goes and surfs, and the weather gets like progressively worse. And so they wave like the red flag.
I have to say something about this, because in this scene, the grandfather, I get so like upset about how he reacts to everything. And I probably know who that actor is, but I don't totally like recognize, but I was just watching it being like, he seems to have a lot of personality when the movie starts. And then he's on the beach and he's like, I'm real upset. Is she going to be safe? What's going to happen? Brady, go get her. And I was just like, oh my God, emote just a little bit. What is happening? Were you really sad or upset that day? Like, you just not want to be there? Like, I don't know what's going on, but just a little more emotion. Just a little more.
Yeah, he was like, I don't really care if she dies, but maybe we should try to save her.
That's what it felt like. Like, I'm saying my lines because I'm here on the beach and there's cameras pointed at me.
Yeah. What got me is when they wave the red flag and like are whistling for everyone to get out of the water, which I'm not a surfer, but I assume that when the red flag is waved, that means like you're gonna die if you stay out there. Come back to shore.
Yeah.
And Mackenzie is all, no, I'm gonna keep surfing. Which, no, girl, no. That's how you die at like 14.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Brady's like, I must save you. And then she gets really mad at him for trying to save her. And he's like, well, what did you expect me to do? Like, she's like, how dare you? I can take care of myself. And he's like, oh my God, I just care about you. Like, I don't understand why this is a big deal. I love Brady in this. Even though he's kind of a doofus about like trying to get them back and like realizing things, but his ability to deal with the relationship is kind of amazing. And I don't know how intentional that was in the writing, but like at the beginning when she's like, well, we're going to be far away from each other. We have to break up. I know what it's like to miss somebody. I don't want to put us through that, which good job. But maybe you should have told him that like a month ago. So you could, and he's like really upset, but he's not like mad at her necessarily. He's just upset that it's happening. And then comes later to like, be there for her when she goes to surf. And she's like, Brady, like I told you, he's like, I'm not proposing. I'm literally just here to see you surf. Like, calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, I like their relationship because it's clear that they really enjoy each other's company, but they also really respect the other person.
Yeah, totally. There's respect there that I was like, I can't even get that. Like, I wish I had seen this as a kid. Like this and actually Wizards of Waverly Place have a lot of that like really like no, we have to have respect in this relationship or it's not going to work. I was like, why weren't these on when I was a kid? This message would have been really nice to have.
It's interesting because, like, I think that we're past the age that this movie is geared to. We're 30, and this movie is made for like early teens.
Yeah, or like middle schoolers, really. Which I didn't realize until recently that like it's like a whole generation before that these movies are made for. And I was like, oh, so like as a high schooler, these movies still weren't for me. And now I'm 29. So
but it is nice to watch it and think, oh, kids that are 12, 13 are watching this movie and they're seeing what this relationship is like between these people, and they're seeing that these people respect each other. That throughout the movie, Mackenzie keeps saying, girls can do whatever guys can do, and you should do what you love. And, she makes mistakes. Oh, she thinks she should go off to this fancy prep school because it's what her mother would have wanted. but really her mom just wanted her to be happy and successful in something that made her happy.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, because I said that in my videos, spoiler alert, but I got really mad because I was reading reviews, as I said in the video, in the vain hope that like somebody was into this like I was, which was obviously not a good idea, but like at least one, if not two reviews were like slamming this for being like pseudo-feminist, pseudo-girl power, and I was like, that's not even the point of the movie. That's just like a conduit for her to help her realize that she can do what she wants to do with it, obviously. But you know, because I mean, like being a high schooler and enjoying surfing is not going to like destroy your future.
Yeah. I mean, she's not saying, oh, I'm not going to go to this high school. I'm not going to go to this fancy prep school. I'm going to stay here and just like not go to high school and just bum around on the beach all day. That's not what she's saying.
Yeah.
She's saying, I really have a passion for this and I'd like to stay here and explore my options in a place I feel good about.
Exactly. Thank you. I feel so validated right now. Okay, so do you have more or should I?
Not currently.
Okay. What was your reaction during the I kind of know this already, but what was your reaction during the very first musical number? They land on the beach, they see this girl who's like, looks like she's on a trampoline in this like pink fringed bikini thing. And Mackenzie's like, what is happening? And they investigate and the musical number starts and I'm in heaven. And what is your reaction?
My very first thought was, wow, that girl must be super athletic to have the stamina to shimmy whilst being tossed in the air.
He was on So You Think You Can Dance, FYI.
So that would be why.
Yeah.
She is an athlete and fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Because freaking everyone who's on that show is incredible. Dislike that they named her Giggles because, come on. Can we not ever name a girl Giggles ever again?
There was the guy named Rascal.
Nah.
Yeah, the girls have terrible names.
But it was like she was sort of one of the background characters that they like made sure that you saw. Like she was sort of a like brand for the movie. Like she's wearing the fringe, she's bubbly, like she's blonde. She sort of takes you into this like 50s world of beach pop.
Yes, 50 Worlds of Beach. Yeah, she's even in the when you first see a clip of the movie and they're showing a fight between the bikers and the surfers. She's like, her fight scene is like shimmying.
Yeah,
the other girl's like shaking her hair at her. But the other girl's name is Chi Chi, and I was just like, why did you pick that name? Because in certain languages this means slang of something of a body part, female body part, boobs. It means boobs. So. Like, the more I say this, the more it sounds worse. It's not that bad. It's just a little weird. Like, it's a thing that is a nickname for sure, but in like certain, you know, cultures in Spanish, that's what that means. Yeah. But it's not that bad because honestly, like, even though that character, I was kind of thinking, I was like, Ravina probably thinks she's super annoying. She's the girlfriend of the leader of the bikers. The girl, the way she plays her is I think she's so funny. Personally, even though she has like this like really high pitched voice, she's just hysterically funny.
It's like they gave. I mean, okay, so the first number, I sort of sat there and rolled my eyes at it a bit, but it's still fun, despite the rolling of the eyes, which is my default reaction.
Yeah, but the choreography is amazing. Like. Yeah. The way dancing, the towels and the beach and the fact that they're not dying like eating sand when they're like kicking around and like the thing with the snorkels, which I'm like, how did you do that without drowning or just coughing? Like that's amazing. Yeah,
it's very well choreographed. I would expect nothing less from a Disney Channel movie. I feel like they now, if it's this kind of a movie where there's song and dance, they really go for it. They're not just like, hey, we're gonna have a dance number and it's super lame. Yeah. They actually bring in real dancers and real choreographers, and they have people do really phenomenal stuff. Like the biker dance in the bar is probably one of the best ones in the whole movie.
Yeah, I love that. I try to listen to the song like independent of the movie, and I try to fool myself into thinking that I really liked it, but it's hard to sing along to. It doesn't actually have that much like musicality to it. I may not be using that word right, but that's how I feel about it. But when you watch it in conjunction with the choreography, it's so good, and it harkens back to like so many of like my nostalgia like spots in my brain from watching like Grease over and over again growing up, and like the flipping and the like the hips moving and like just everybody just being like in tune with each other, and I love it so much. And like I want to be Brady. They do such a good job because Brady inserts himself into the musical number as like the main character almost of the musical number, and that's like anybody who were watching musicals, that's what you would have wanted to do. So you get to kind of like fulfill that wish through Brady as you're watching the movie. And Mackenzie's like, you just couldn't help yourself, could you? And he was like, of course not.
I would have liked him to have stayed as that character for the rest of the movie.
That's my problem with this movie is that like, okay, sorry, I have a rant about this, and I already did 2 videos about this, but I don't care. I'm going to do it again. It drives me nuts because they arrive there's a musical number, they follow the surfers into Big Mama's, and which is a restaurant and like club, whatever. They have music there. And then the surfers are like, who are you? What are you doing like on our turf? Like, they have a problem with them. Then the bikers show up, they're fighting, cue musical number. Brady goes into the musical number. None of the bikers have a problem with this. This seems completely normal. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but sure, okay. I'm willing to suspend my disbelief if it pays off in the end. And then the surfers, they're like outside of the shack, Big Mama's, they're outside of the place, and the surfers come out, do like a crazy handshake, and then they're like, hey, you should come to our party. And I was like, he literally was just dressed as a biker. Why are you inviting him? And you just hated him like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What is going on? And it's so inconsistent. The rivalry between the bikers and the surfers are so inconsistent that Brady and Mac hang out with both groups, are dating people from opposite groups, and nobody has a problem with it.
The rivalry is not very strong.
Yeah, it's not strong at all. It makes me so mad. Because I feel like it could have been really well written, because they basically did this in High School Musical. Like, it was all about like, the 2 groups and the rivalry, and like, and obviously they wouldn't necessarily want to do that again, but like the same thing happens in like other movies, and why can't we just
like that's the point of West Side Story, is that there are 2 opposing gangs. That's the point of Romeo and Juliet. Like, you have to have conflict and a real friction between these groups to generate any interest.
Yeah, and it would have been a lot more interesting if like Brady and Mackenzie had to like sneak around to try to get them to meet, instead of just like standing in broad daylight on the beach while like he's dressed as a surfer and she's dressed as a biker, and they're just talking to each other, and nobody. And then I feel like the defense against this is that like, oh well, since Brady and Mackenzie disrupted the movie, they just don't know what to do. But that doesn't work, because they get mad all the time about this. Like, they talk about the rivalry all the time. It's not like they're like, oh, I'm not sure. I'm kind of confused now because I'm not sure what's supposed to happen now. Like, there's nothing like that.
It's very strange. It's kind of like the movie assumes that by Brady and Mac disrupting the movie, that the rivalry is disrupted, but they keep it as like the assumed undercurrent. They're like contradicting themselves completely with that move.
Yes, completely. And it drives me nuts, because I'm like, I am sure there's a way around that. And I don't know if the problem is taking out the villains, which we have yet to talk about, and I'm super excited about talking about that. So another question, trivia question, kind of, not really. What do you think was my absolute favorite song from this movie?
Song?
Yeah. Well, song / number.
The one where she's singing about not being a prop?
Oh, that is actually one of my 2 favorite songs. I love that song. I always forget that song is there, and then I start watching it, and I was like, yes! Because as the movie goes on, Mackenzie and Brady, there's so many things that aren't fulfilled in this movie. The magical surfboard, don't know what that's about. And then they realize that like Mackenzie's like, because their clothes get magically changed throughout the movie just by like movie magic. Like, oh, they're in this scene, so they have to be in this outfit. They're in this scene, so they're in this outfit. And so Mackenzie's top, which is like hanging next to her surfboard for reasons, disappears. And they're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And they're like, oh, well, it's not supposed to be in this movie, so it disappeared. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And then later on, she falls in the water and her hair doesn't get wet because everybody else in the movie, they never actually get like wet because fake surfing, 50s movies, and so, or 60s movies, and so they're kind of like freaking out about, and so then the musical number starts and it's an involuntary musical number. They have to sing along. They don't have a choice. I love it so much.
It was pretty good. I appreciate, because in the first like musical numbers of the movie, Mackenzie is not into it at all, and the few times when she tries to get pulled in, she's just like very awkward and very stiff and like is not into it. And I was like, oh, maybe they're like playing it this way because she can't actually dance, the actress. But then later, like especially in this number, when she's being forced to sing this musical number, she's fantastic.
Yeah, she's really good.
And then I realized, oh, she's a really good actress.
Yeah, I think, even though they're both very young, and even though Brady Ross, what is his last name? I don't know. He, like we were saying, he's very young, but I thought he actually did a pretty good job of conveying emotion in the scenes that were very emotional, which I was like, yes, continue with that. Go down that thought. But yeah, she was very good because I just totally believed her as Mackenzie. And she's actually Australian, and not until this viewing did I catch like all the little parts where you can hear her accent slipping. And yeah, she's pretty cool. I think she's cool. She's also called Foster's on ABC or whatever ABC family is being called now.
Oh. The lead girl for the bikers, also Layla, she's super familiar. What is she in?
I have no idea. I've only seen her in this and an episode of Austin and Ally where she plays this like diva actress who was like the craziest brat ever. It's so funny.
I've seen her in something recently. I'll have to Google her because I was like, what did I see you in? Like a legit movie.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, she has a very distinct face, and she's not on any of the shows on Nickelodeon. Or Disney Channel. So, yeah. But yeah, they were so good. Okay, so the main characters of West Side Story are played by these two actors who are amazing because their characters are so dumb.
Yeah,
they're so dumb. It's the best thing ever.
It's Tanner reminded me of that character in Guardians of the Galaxy who takes everything completely literally.
Yeah, Drax. It's exactly like that. But like the part where she said, like, oh, she's like, because he says something that's pretty eloquent, and she's like, you're pretty smart. He's like, yeah, but more pretty.
Yeah. Or he'll say a Shakespeare quote, which what? And then she'll say, oh, was that Shakespeare? Nope, that was me just now. Yes.
Yeah, and then there's a scene where they're trying to find them, and they talk to them, and then they're just kind of standing there, and then in the background, he just like runs past, like all like gangly and laughing, and then she runs by, she goes, wee, and then it keeps going, and you're just like, what is happening? Like, they're not super bright. Or when Mackenzie and Brady get kidnapped by the villains, and they're trying to figure out what happened to them, they're like, like they literally like do that. It's the best. And I just so believe them as those characters, like 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it so much. Yeah. So go ahead.
I was gonna say it's nice because they have these characters who are pretty dim, but the movie is self-aware about them being dim. The movie is fairly self-aware about many things, actually, which is kind of nice because it's saying, hey, we know that this is a movie and we know that it's ridiculous. Laugh at it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think those are the reasons that I like it so much, because I'm so aware of the tropes of, I think tropes is the right word. I feel like I don't know how to use that word. Anyway, that like I've watched so many of these movies and I still watch them, and they're just like, my not guilty pleasure, my like TV junk food. And watching them sort of almost comment on what's going on as it's happening, and I'm being like, Yes, you know exactly what's going on, and I love it because when they pretend like they don't know, the movies get just like so bad because it's like this weird sappy sincerity that isn't real, like a saccharine kind of thing. And here it was like genuinely sweet because they're like, well, we totally know what's going on, but we're still gonna go with the story because we're earnest and we love it.
Yeah, and I did appreciate that because I've seen many Disney Channel movies where it's just so. Everything is just, you know, so earnest and heartfelt. And they're like, no, you have to believe us. This is how we really feel. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. The first High School Musical is a bit like that. The second High School Musical is like this weird combination of self-aware and like really not self-aware at all. And it's very strange. Still haven't seen the third one, surprisingly. I haven't seen the second Teen Beach movie either. But anyway. Yeah. Okay. So my favorite musical number or music song is the one where so you know, in an effort to get Brady and Layla and Tanner together, they both go hang out with, like, you know, Mackenzie goes hang out with Layla, Brady goes hang out with Tanner. I can't remember people's names. The guys hang out with the guys, the girls hang out with the girls. Surfers and biker girls. Surfer boys, biker girls. I'm sorry. We'll stop babbling now. And they basically sing us, trying to get them to talk about the other person in an effort to be like, you like them, right? Because the first musical number where they try to, introduce them to each other, they just don't, they only have eyes for the person that they met, not the person they're supposed to be with. And it's just a song that's like, how you're supposed to get a guy or a girl's attention. And that's like the whole song. And it's sung half by the girls, half by the boys. And I love it so much. One of my favorite things, because Mackenzie's trying to convince them, like, you can ask a guy out on a date. And they're like, no, you have to like bat your eyes at them and like can trick them into asking you out on a date.
Right.
And Mackenzie's like, no, you pay for the bill, you can ask them out. Like, it's like, just go after you want. It's not a big deal. And the guys are like, don't let her know how much you care. Like, make all the decisions for her. And Brady's like, what? No, like, tell her, look her in the eyes and tell her how you feel. And they're like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And Brady's so like, no, like, I got my one girl and I love her and she's amazing. And yeah, I tell her how I feel and I let her, give her room to breathe, let her do her thing. And it's great. I'm just like, oh my God, Brady, I love you so much. Can you do like seminars on this, please?
Yeah, it's refreshing to have them have this great romance instead of the general thing that happens, which is the main characters that love each other go, I love you so much, you're my everything, and I could never live without you, and they have to spend like every waking moment together or everything is terrible.
Yeah, although the song at the beginning of the movie, which you don't notice right away unless you are like me and you obsess over things and buy the soundtrack, the song says, it's called Oxygen, and it's basically, I want to be the oxygen you breathe. I was like, whoa, no. That is not a thing that you should aspire to. That is creepy and unhealthy and weird. But the rest of the movie, like, literally, Mackenzie tells Brady, go flirt with Layla and then, like, break her heart so that she'll end up with Tanner. And he goes, and obviously, like, he's had a crush on this girl forever. Like, he grew up with this movie, I'm assuming. And this has been the girl in the movie, and he's, like, totally in love with her as a kid. And now he's, like, a teenager, and he's in this movie, and she's, like, moon eyes over to him, and he's just, like, there's all these parts. He almost kisses her at one point. And, like, there's no repercussion, and it's like the best. I think it's great, personally, because I feel like Mackenzie's like, Brady's a little silly, but in the end he comes through. And I'm like, this is so true. That's what he does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's like suspicious lack of kissing in this movie.
Oh yeah, every Disney like movie is like that. Nickelodeon, like, they will kiss in the TV shows. Even on the Disney Channel, there'll be more kisses on the TV shows than the movies, and I'm not sure why that is. But if you watch, like, Big Time Rush and iCarly a little bit, and Victorious especially, they had a lot of kissing, and it's funny because, like, they can't do, like, open mouth kissing, which always sounds weird using that. But, like, the kissing we're used to seeing on, like, adult TV shows.
Right.
grown-ups. So they have to like keep their mouth closed, but man, on Big Time Rush and Victorious, they do a real good job making it look like they're real kissing, like they're for real kissing. And it's interesting to me that Nickelodeon is the channel. I think that's changing because Nickelodeon seems to be suddenly gearing more towards younger-ish in the way that they're doing things. But like there's when I kind of were watching these shows, there was way more kissing on those shows than the ones on the Disney Channel. Although Disney Channel shows do a lot of female gaze, I would say, for like, you know, like there's in Good Luck Charlie, they're talking about like the hot guy who's on the swim team and like looking at pictures of him and like giggling every so often and being like, oh my gosh, like totally gonna go after this guy. And then he turns out to be like a LARPer, which is like the funniest. He's like a Pokemon LARPer, and she's like, and she's like, you're real hot, but you're not that hot. So yeah, but in the movies, they hardly ever kiss, and I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, I'm not saying that they should. You know, it could be refreshing. It's a little weird, you know? Like when they're like at the end when they get back to the beach and they're just kind of like floating there awkwardly, and then they hug each other, and I was like, that was weird. Do we really need that?
Like that would have been the time to insert like the one kiss in the movie, and it wouldn't have to be like, oh, I love you. You know,
just a quick peck. Like they're like in the middle of the ocean. Like of course they're not gonna like make out, but like a quick like thank God we're still alive and now we're in our own reality kiss would be great at that moment. It would have been really sweet and weird. And even and I think one of the reasons it's awkward is like instead of making it a joke where they get interrupted all the time, it just feels like it should have happened and it just sort of hangs in the air. Whereas with Tanner and Layla, they just get interrupted.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's. I was wondering if you were gonna notice that too because I was watching that and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about the weird not kissing scenes.
Kind of awkward.
Just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. Did you have a favorite character? Or alternatively, a character that may not have been your favorite, but you identified with, although I guess that's Mackenzie.
Yeah, I definitely identify with Mackenzie. I don't think she was my favorite character, though. I don't know if I had a favorite character necessarily. No, I don't think I had one.
My favorite character besides everybody was Butchie. Butchie is like my favorite character. The funny thing is that I think that he's not, I mean, I'm sure he's a fine like dancer in normal regular situations, but if you watch the choreography, there's certain scenes where he's just standing there and everybody else is dancing. But like, there's this scene, okay, so like, we have to talk about the villains. I'll just finish with Butchie and then we'll talk about the villains because that's an important part, and then we could probably wrap up. But when they realize that the villains have taken Mackenzie and Brady, and they unite the two groups to go after them. First of all, like when they're trying to unite the two groups and they're arguing, Tanner and Layla reveal that they've fallen in love, and they like hold their hands up, and like Butchie like marches up because earlier in the movie he's like, "Are any of those surfers bothering you?" And Layla's like, "They're not that bad." He's like, "All surfers is bad." And they do that thing with the laughing and the snapping, which is my favorite thing. And then he's like going up there and he like makes a fist and then he wipes away a tear. And then he like holds his hand out to Layla behind him, and Layla like, because it looks like he's going to go beat up this dude who's like, falling in love with his sister. So she like hands him a black bandana and he wipes his tears and he's like, grabs the dude's hand. And I was like, and they're like, they're sail a dozen ships, 100 ships about these two.
Uh-huh.
Layla's hand, and then like, let's go, and then they run to, they're just, and then I realized later they're just running on the beach. They don't know where they're going, and then they see the lighthouse emit like something, and they're like, oh, that must be where they are. And I'm like, well, where were they going before that? Before they realized.
I feel like there's only one direction you can run on that beach.
That is true. That is true. Like when Mackenzie's trying to get Tanner to go meet up with Layla, and she's like, no, walk that way. No, don't walk this way, walk that way. Keep going. And he keeps forgetting and coming back. And he does like this like ridiculous like laugh. And he's like, ah! And then he actually goes walking the other direction. It's the best. But anyway, Butchie sees the lighthouse. He's like, whoa, we gotta go to the lighthouse? He's like, I don't do lighthouses. It's a thing. Like some people with cats, some people with snakes. For me, it's lighthouses. One of the second in command of the surfers dudes is like, you can do this. We're all with you. And he's like, yeah, okay, let's go. And he just points, but then he just stands there as everybody runs past him. Like, and then he goes to turn around, and then Giggles is like, no, I got you. I got your number. Let's go. I love that so much. He's so stupid, too.
It's funny because, like, I liked him. It's like I liked all the characters, but I felt like maybe it's just because they are so young that I almost felt like they all needed like one step up. Like they all needed like a shot of hormones to like really.
Yeah. Well, he's actually closer to our age. I think then he was in his early 20s. I think a lot of them were probably in their early 20s. But he definitely, I think, was a little bit older. He was on another TV show where he plays like a bully kind of person, but I can't remember what it was. Because I was like, this guy's amazing. I need to find out more about him. But then I was like, I'm not going to watch that. But okay, so when Mackenzie and Brady realize what have happened, Mackenzie's like, oh my gosh, what have we done? Have we derailed the movie? Is anything going to happen? And Brady's like, oh, we should go check on the villains of the movie, who are an evil mad scientist sidekick and an evil real estate agent. Yeah. Who want to be able to control the weather on the beach, to drive away the bikers and the surfers, and make it so Big Mama's doesn't turn a profit anymore, so they can buy the land to build a resort. And then I was like, but then what's going to happen when you open the resort? Because then there won't be any waves, and why would anybody come to the beach if it's like humid, I guess, is what they wanted to go for, and no way, like, who would want to do that?
Yeah, their plan makes no sense whatsoever, but it is a plot point and therefore must exist.
Yeah, even my cousin, who was, I don't want to say a freshman in high school or like her last year junior high, and this movie had come out, and I asked her like, oh, well, what did you think of it? Because who else was I going to talk about it with? and she's like, I really liked it, but I didn't really understand why they needed the mad scientist villains. And I was like, that is a very good point, because there really isn't.
Yeah, I kind of felt like they didn't need them at all. Like they could have just had, in like 3 days time, there's going to be a huge storm that just happens, like storms do.
Yeah.
And maybe like Brady and Mac would have fallen down a cliff or something, and then they had to be rescued. I don't know. It seemed like just an excuse to have some like silly fake mustachio twirling villains.
Like the end, because Brady and Mackenzie at some point finally tell one of the villains, oh, well, we're from the future and this is a movie. So do with that what you will. And at the end, when the villains have like been exploded up into the air and in the ocean in like a makeshift buoy, the scientist explains to the real estate person, it seems that we're in a movie. And the guy's like, movie? And then his like mustache starts falling off, and he's like, tell me more.
I just wonder, these adults that are cast in these movies, like, there's what, 4 adults in this movie? There's the grandfather, the aunt, the scientist, and the real estate agent.
Oh, and Big Mama, who has 2 lines. And I'm a little like concerned about in terms of
me too.
Racial history, what that's about, and I don't have enough knowledge to really go into it. But like, let's just put a note there that like, I that might have been kind of weird. I don't know. I mean, the cast was really diverse, and I do appreciate that. But like, I don't know. Yeah. Moving on.
Yeah, I had notes about that too. But yeah, just like thinking about these actors who were adults, and like, can they not get real acting jobs? Like, do they prefer to be in Disney Channel movies? Like,
I think that it's you hear actors talk, like if you listen to enough podcasts with actors, you eventually hear them talk about the difference between like being a working actor. There's like being a celebrity, being a working actor, and like all the variations in between. And then like, not being able to get work at all. So I think that sometimes, especially with the Disney Channel, where some of the shows skew more towards sitcom than they do show for little kids, because you'll have shows where the parents just sort of mysteriously disappear. The mom isn't around for insert reasons, or the dad isn't around for insert reasons, or you have like Good Luck Charlie, where like the parents are like kind of main characters and have their own storylines in every episode. And very important to the story. So it really varies. It depends on the show. It depends on the movie. If parents who are very important to the show, like Wizards of Waverly Place, the movie will like center around maybe something happened to the parents and they have to do something about it. This guy, the guy who plays the British like real estate realtor or whatever, he's been in at least one other movie as a villain. So I don't know if that's just like, oh, hey, job. Also, there was a show about a kid. It was like on Disney XD, and he got a cat. Somehow he ends up being in like a metal band, like with a metal band that has like the hair and the, loud, whatever. And then they're like, the rival band to them is like another metal band that has like their face painted, kind of like Kiss, but like angrier and silver. Anyway, one of the guys in that, and this guy has also been in Austin and Ally. He does a lot of improv, and he's hysterically funny. And I've seen him like live in shows, and I didn't realize this until I was looking at his IMDb and being like, oh, he was in an episode of Austin and Ally. So I think that it's like it can be like supplemental income, especially if you're doing other things that you really love and you're kind of on your way to those things, or if you've like ended a job. Because like when you hear interviews, especially like Sebastian Stan really brought this home, that like you're just constantly looking for that next job. Like that's all that really matters, and you're just trying to keep going. And it's also a way to, I guess, improve things. So then the guy who plays the mad scientist, he plays the butler on this show that's about a bunch of rich kids that were adopted by a rich couple, and they hire a nanny, and her name is Jessie. And the name of the show is Hey Jessie. And so basically it's the show about her taking care of his kids, and then the guy's the butler, and he's like the butler who doesn't really do anything and complains all the time and is the butt of a lot of jokes. So, it's hard to say. Like, did they do it because they thought it would be fun? Did they do it because they wanted money? Did they do it just cause? Like, why not?
Right.
And like there was a woman who played a mom on the show where the dog talked. Can't remember the name of that.
Wishbone?
Dog with a Blog, which is like the weirdest.
Wishbone is too early.
It was way later. It was like a recent-ish show. I really liked it until they started adding more talking dogs. And I was like, this is the one thing about the show that I don't like is the talking dogs. Why is this happening? But I heard her in a podcast saying, being kind of like embarrassed to admit that she was on this show at first. And I was like, yeah, but you're amazing on this show. You're so funny. So, it could be a variety of things. It could just be like, I want to be an actor, and this is the job that I got, and I'm going to do the best I can.
True. I mean, any paying acting job, like it's experience, it's money in the bank, it's on your resume, like.
Yeah, and you get to know people. Like say along the line, that actor wants to do, an indie film or like a sketch or something, and they'll be like, oh, hey, I know this person who does a really great job doing this, so let's hire that person. So, I think it's interesting seeing like who plays adults on these shows and where else they show up. Like there'll be people who were on Mad TV or other sketch comedy shows who often show up on these kind of shows. And part of that as, what are their name? They're like a nerdy musical group. There's two guys and they play guitars. Oh, I can't remember their name, and I'm terrible, but I'll put a link somewhere. But they have kids, and they were saying like the vaudeville acts, like the vaudeville slapstick acts, are now on kids shows. Like that's what they do. It's a lot of like body like falling down kind of humor, and that's sort of where you see that consistently. So that's true. My weird knowledge about kids shows that someday I will put to use. I mean now because we're doing a show about it. But like the characters though are just so random. Like why real estate? Why couldn't it have just been two mad scientists for reasons wanting to do experiments and like going crazy? Like what? Why? It's so weird.
It did not make any sense. It was just weird. But whatever. They had a vehicle for conflict, and ultimately all the kids break the machine, and it does something, which I was like, what did it even do?
Well, I think that because it was a weather machine and it exploded, it caused explosive weather.
But there wasn't any explosive weather.
There was a storm, even though the sky was completely blue. But it was windy, so therefore there was a storm, and that's what they got back to. Because once they're back in the real world, there's like an actual storm that you can see in the sky. But it's just so funny because they're like on the beach and it's completely sunny. There's no
there's not even any waves. Like you could at least like special effects some waves in there.
Something. I mean, even just like some clouds rolling in. Like if it was just some clouds rolling in, that would have been fine. But it was like such a weird transition from like no waves to like storm. And I'm like, where are they?
Yeah.
Like, land in the
super effective.
Yeah, and then like the fact that they needed the storm to get back, but they never referenced the magic surfboard like ever again. And there is actually another Disney Channel movie with a surfboard. It isn't magic, but it's kind of like a talisman for like this girl growing up, basically. And I thought it was going to be like that. Like, oh, it's a magic surfboard. It's going to take them there until they learn their lesson, and then they're going to come back. But then it's like, no, but we also need to fight these guys and create a storm. It's like, okay. Is there another plot point you just want to jam in there just for kicks? Some more I'm just going to throw in there? But it did lead to my favorite line wherein they're tied up against the machine by the villains, and they start singing to each other because Mackenzie's like, you know what? I'm having a good time. I don't want to be miserable at a school where I don't know anybody and you're not there. And she's like, and it's like, even though I'm tied up, I've never felt freer. I was like, what? How did I never notice that before?
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. I was just like, oh, okay.
Okay. You go with that line of thought, I guess. Sure, whatever gets you through the day. And like, you know, follow your dreams, whatever. But also, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, well, the movie broke her. The movie broke Mackenzie.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's basically it. That's how it ends. It ends with a musical number on the IRL beach, which was actually, I thought, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. And then did you see the part that like after credits or during credits scene where they end up on the beach and like a guy dressed like a punk has a cell phone with Justin Bieber as the lock screen? I was like, why is Justin Bieber on the screen?
Yeah, that was weird.
That was super weird. But my favorite thing was that they all screamed when they saw it.
Yeah, that was pretty great. I was just like, wait, what? Okay, it's funny, but what?
Yeah, I was like, I don't understand where you were going. Like, was there like some like assistant on here who was like following orders from like on high that like, let's do this because this random person thinks it'll be funny who's giving us money and like that's the only reason they did it? Or they were just like, I don't know, just do something. I don't know.
By that point, it doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't matter anymore.
But they did set it up nicely for a sequel, I'm assuming, by having members of the movie world make it into the real world.
Yeah, but in the sequel, I don't think it happens that way. I think that Layla and Tanner show up in the real world without everybody else, and then everybody else follows them. Because I think what it is that Layla she's unsatisfied with her life now that she knows more. It's like a whole Garden of Eden thing. And and so they leave to find Mackenzie and Brady, and they don't want to go back. And everybody else comes to find them because the movie is starting to like fall apart or disappear without them. I have no idea how it ends. All I know is that like Mackenzie and Brady start having relationship issues, and then they kind of figure it out. But it takes place at like Mackenzie and Brady's high school, and I was like, I don't know if I want to watch that.
Yeah, no.
But it's pretty funny trying to get them to be, you know, more like us and less like Sugar Bubblegum movie. Which, as I say the word Sugar Bubblegum, I do want to say, if anybody's wondering, the name of the show did come from Teen Beach Movie. Because I was trying to come up with a name, and I really like the whole bubblegum part of the biker song. And they're the Rodent Social Club. So I just put those two together, and we got Bubblegum Social Club. And here we are today. Isn't everything great?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, so is there anything else that you wanted to go over?
I don't think so. It was relatively enjoyable. I think that there was a surprising amount of depth to it, a bit more than I expected there would be, and a lot more heart.
Yes, that's how I feel about it too. I feel like it's a very heartfelt movie that is simultaneously self-aware, and I think those are like the two things that like reeled me into it. Because the first time I saw this movie, I only saw the end, and I was like, this looks so dumb. Like, why is this happening? I was very suspicious because, you know, I felt like they were making fun of the things that I liked, and I didn't know how that was going to go. And then I just was like, you know what? We just got to watch this whole thing. And I started watching from the beginning, and I was like, proceeded to sing the songs for like a whole month after that. And also sent you an email being like, how do I dress like these people? And then you so kindly put together like some inspiration boards for me. And I was like, yay. And then I was like, I don't know how to wear that and look good. So I'm still working on it. I did buy like a leather jacket that has like studs in it that I've worn like 3 times.
There you go.
It's really warm. I was like, how do people wear these things? This is very warm.
They're quite warm.
I live in Southern California. This is not working. I can only do this in the winter. All right. So would you watch it again? Would you recommend it?
I probably wouldn't watch it again. I would probably watch a couple of the dance scenes again to like closely analyze the choreography, which I found really interesting.
Yeah, they're on YouTube, so I will link them to them in the show notes.
Yeah. I would recommend it definitely to kids in the like middle school, high school range who are any kids. I was gonna say who are interested in it. I was like, no, it doesn't freaking matter what they're interested in. Like, it's a fun movie, I think.
Yeah, and even if they think it's dumb, I think it's a fun movie to make fun of because it's so ridiculous and over the top.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it to any of my friends because none of my friends would like it.
Yeah, I'm the weird exception. I'm like,
yeah. But I enjoyed it.
Yay! I'm so glad because I was like, this could go either way, really. Like, Rita could just be like, no, why do you hate me this much? But I had a feeling it would. It's kind of honestly, it's kind of like the episodes of Supernatural that we covered, where it's a little self-aware, and that's why you knew that. We are self-aware enough to realize that that's what I like.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. So definitely recommended for me, especially if you like musicals and like a little wink in your humor. And I'm so happy that you enjoyed it as much as you did. And that was great. Thank you. That was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Star Wars Day. I got my Darth Vader shirt on. I was wearing my Han Solo cardigan earlier. I'm a Star Wars hat. Obviously, also R2-D2. R2-D2 says hi. And more to come. We got some changes coming up. I have to keep saying that. I haven't told you what they are yet, but they will be coming soon. Got a little more focus. We can get a little more focused and see how that goes. But yeah, so that's it for now. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Goodbye.